The news of the week.
Yep.
The other news, and there were, because it was 2 weeks, there was actually quite a bit of news.
Yes.
We had, obviously, first off, the Nations League discontinued, which kind of moves on from our Tier 2 chat. The Nations League is going to be discontinued and broken up, and it didn't secure its support. It wasn't right the way they were.
No,
the way
it was never going to pass the way they had it set up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like they're trying to change too much all at once, and it was never popular from the start. It was never going to work. It was designed by seemingly a bunch of people who don't play the game. None of the players liked the idea of just the excessive demand that was going to put on them. Yeah, and
so it got suitably shot down and back to have a rethink, which is probably what it needs.
The compromises, as we say, let's for now, let's leave the Six Nations. Let's not incorporate it in this mad way that diminishes it somewhat. Mm-hmm. Let's leave the Six Nations. Let's leave the summer test window, which is actually pretty class. Leave the Rugby Championship and do something with the November window, which is the only real massive problem right now.
Yeah.
I know they want everyone on this calendar, but really things are kind of working right now.
Yeah.
I know that you have this issue with the June series where one team is ending their season and one team is starting their season. But generally speaking, those tours are interesting, fascinating tours, which both sides want to win. They have merit to them. Mm-hmm. It's the November series that has its problems. Yeah. So change the November series. Get yourselves a Little Nations Championship with 4 teams per division. Yeah, and then
suddenly you're watching the likes of England or Australia being relegated, which is something you never see.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not a relegation that's going to massively financially cripple them. England and Wales. If England and Wales are both in Division 2, England Wales in Test rugby is still going to be a massive game that's going to get watched. That's going to be covered by the BBC. Yeah. More so than an average November international would anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't do any harm. And it's just 3 games. You have 4 teams per division, play 3 games. You can have a final if you want, but it gives the teams scope to arrange their own fixtures outside the windows if they need to make money like they do now. Yeah. So I think that's a nice little compromise that solves the problem of Tier 2 sides not getting enough Tier 1 games, because you're going to have that great 3rd division behind the top 8. Where you're going to have 8 to 12, where you're going to have at least 1 or 2 Tier 2 teams, and do it all based on world rankings to start with. So then you're going to have like Georgia, Japan, Fiji and Argentina maybe in a pool together.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, potential great games in that.
Yeah, exactly. And then, side getting relegated from that 4 to 8 category to go down and slog it with those Tier 2 sides is very interesting.
It would be fun.
And if it's England and they're sort of aghast at the idea that they're going to have to play some Tier 2 sides and not make enough money, they have the scope to say we're going to play the All Blacks outside of that window. Yes. And they can shake hands on that and have their game against the All Blacks in Twickenham. Yeah. I think that's the best solution for right now. Yeah. Just in terms of solving the Tier 2 problem.
Yeah. I'm creating a bit of consequence to the November test and making a bit of drama to it, because that's always a question whenever they're whenever that window rolls around and you're talking to a casual and or not rugby fan about we're playing who, and it's why, what for what, and it's no, it's a test game. It's what does that mean? And you're exactly. All that kind of stuff, and it's it's important, god damn it. Is where ultimately my argument wears thin, but it's if you had a little league so you can point to a table and go so we're here, it would help,
totally. It would do something with that window, for sure. As opposed to everyone gets a test series. If you're going out to Australia to play a 3-match test series and there's a trophy at the end of it, that's great. Don't touch that.
No,
leave the June internationals alone, I say.
That's exactly
don't remove tours from the game.
I hate it. And only the Lions tour to be the only tour left in the game. That's madness. Madness. We can't have that.
I was going to just mention the big news of today, which was announced just there. Warren Gatland has signed a 4-year deal with New Zealand Rugby to be the Chiefs head coach, taking 2021 off to coach the Lions against South Africa. So he's in it for the long haul. I think ultimately looking for the All Blacks job.
That seems to be what I read into this news. It's interesting how will he adopt the Chiefs' philosophy and try and build on it? Will he try and bring his own philosophy into it? Will we see a fundamentally changed Chiefs? It's definitely
it's a fantastic test for him, and a test he would have needed. I think it's a great move from New Zealand Rugby, because there's enough evidence from what Wales are doing and what he's done with Wales that he is a great coach. He has his ways, they work. But Wales are so settled, and they're so they are what they are, and they do what they do really well, and they have lots of success to point to. But if he's given, like, this is a completely different project. The Chiefs are a free-flowing attacking team. They have a base to build on, and it's definitely it's gonna be, we're gonna learn a lot about where Gatland is and his capacity to coach the All Blacks in that tenure. It could be great. He could toughen them up. He could make them do curious things defensively, assemble a good coaching ticket, and maintain that true line of Chiefs attacking rugby and flair.
Or he could be at loggerheads with it, and it could clash with the Chiefs' philosophy, which is so ingrained.
Draft Jamie Roberts and pick him ahead of Leonard Brown.
Yeah, that kind of thing. You know, bring him in. I say.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be Jamie Roberts now. It would
Hadley
be
Parks.
Hadley Parks.
Yeah. But
could you imagine him in a Chiefs shirt?
No. But I don't suspect that's what's going to happen. I think Gatland has enough credit and experience in the bank that he can use the tools that he has to work with. And that's a very exciting piece of news, and I'm curious to see what it'll look like as time rolls on.
For sure. Yeah. What was it?
I was going to say that there's a meet there that we just learned today, that there's a final date for a meeting to decide whether the Premiership's going to be ring fenced, and the proposal is around 13 teams, so it would incorporate Worcester and presumably Newcastle,
who just went down.
Who went down, and so that'll be decided on September 13th.
It's basically now that before London Irish get relegated again, when all this capitulates and blows up in their face.
Yeah.
It's an argument. Like, they need to do something to start to solve some of this competition problem, because, like, other than Saris, none of them can compete on two fronts.
No.
And that's the truth of it. Even Exeter can't do both. They can be very good.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot made of that. Like, I don't know what's better. I mean, most competitions don't have promotion relegation, but most countries aren't the size of England with as much rugby
France
going
does.
on there. France does.
It's like,
works really well for them. But then again, the Pro D is a real thing over there.
Yeah.
They get big crowds. They care about the game. It gets televised.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the championship
it
does get televised from time to time, but there's a serious drop off. I remember reading in Rugby World, somebody was saying, some English rugby guy who knew his stuff anyway was saying, I wish I could remember his name, he was saying that the big difference between the Pro D and the Premiership is that there are sides in the Premiership who are like, or the Championship, who are finishing third, who don't want to get promoted.
Yeah.
Like Ealing, Trailfinders, whatever. If they get promoted, they're kind of fucked. They can't compete.
Yeah.
It's like there's just no hopers. So there's like one or two sides in the Championship who really want to compete and get promoted. But for everyone else, it's just going to kill them. They're not going to be able to handle it.
Well, that season where London Welsh did the business on Bristol and managed to get it past them, and then just spent a whole season in the Premiership getting hockeyed by everyone,
not having a stadium up to scratch. I think they got like docked points or something as well, and it was just a complete mess. Where, you know, there is an established order for all of those Pro D sides where they all do want to come back up. Bayonne want to be back in, Biarritz want to be back in,
Breve
want to be back in. All of these teams and the rest are all super competitive and looking to get in and can compete when they get up there. So there is that element of it that makes it make some sense to ring fence
it's got historical significance, and it's an achievement in itself to win the Pro D.
But then you get sides like Exeter who came up, and like what you're saying is, if you ring fence it, is there can never be another Exeter who get promoted and become this big club. That you're just leaving it at that. Nobody else can compete, and that's that. And they can have their own little amateur semi-pro league that operates
completely independent of it. Which there's definitely arguments on either side of it. I don't know where they're going to come down on. It's up to them what they want to do with it. I do think Newcastle are ideally in the Premiership. That's
but I think that's taking them out permanently isn't on the table, thank God.
Yes, for sure, because they're definitely a part of growing things in the north, growing rugby in the north of England and stuff like that. But it remains to be seen. It's up to them. I'm curious as to how it ends up, but in the meantime, we'll leave them to it. Other news was it Pro 14 conferences were mixed up, and Champions Cup pools were drawn as well. So we have new news in domestic comps and all that. In context of the Pro 14, Leinster and Glasgow are basically artificially being chucked into the same conference, so that we're not just like hosing everyone to the final, and crazy. It seems a bit mental. It's crazy. It kind of gives the likes of Munster and Clonethley more of a shot at at securing a home berth in semi-finals and stuff.
It's absolutely mad that Glasgow and Leinster are in the same conference.
Despite being 1 and 2 comfortably
in
the
comp. Best two sides in the comp.
Yeah.
So it seems very strange. I don't know how they justified it. It's weird. So the Conference A is now Dragons, Glasgow, Leinster, Ospreys, Cheetahs, Ulster and Zebra, where B is Benetton, Cardiff, Connacht, Edinburgh, Southern Kings, Munster and Scarlets. Curious.
Poor old Ospreys are in the same conference as us.
Yeah, of course.
I was just thinking in the context of the Champions Cup how bad this last few weeks has been for Ospreys.
I don't really know what to make of that. I don't really have a comment other than it seems baffling. The headline is that Leinster and Glasgow are in the same conference, which is a bit baffling.
Yeah, sure.
But then there's the Champions Cup pools, of which there is just
so much juiciness.
Hilarious juiciness. Leinster got a pretty,
relatively
from our
cushy,
perspective, got a nice draw.
Lyon and Benetton and Northampton.
Yeah, grand.
Yeah, absolutely grand.
Pool 2 is a very curious one. It's got that Stuart Hogg against Glasgow.
For
Exeter, Glasgow, La Rochelle and Sale.
That's
all
really
pretty
good.
great teams.
And of a similar calibre. I can see them taking points off each other.
Certainly Faf and the boys in Sale are not going to go they're not going to go quietly.
Yeah, for sure. Them versus La Rochelle. Yeah, there's potential of good games in that group for sure.
I can't see Sale getting out of it. I can see them shocking one or two sides, but I could see any of the other 3 teams getting out of it.
Yeah.
So it's another stiff test for Exeter, who I feel like are developing their attacking game. Could be the season for Exeter.
It could either be the season that they kick on, or it could be more of a regression, and they could get Glasgow'd and then La Rochelled and then be like, oh no. And it's that would be an annoyance for them. Yeah.
Pool 3, Clermont, Bath, Quins and Ulster.
Another good kind of group that I would see Clermont coming out of, with Ulster hoping that they can outdo Bath and maybe grab a second spot.
Well, Ulster would need to beat the English teams and then get maybe a home win against Clermont. And
they need to not do what they normally do, which is be in contention and then have to go to England to win a game against a team like Bath or Harlequins. And you really should do it, and they don't.
Tam McFarlane has been very good in charge of Ulster, but Quins are moving upwards as well.
True.
I suspect Bath will be the losers of that bunch.
Bath need to get a new pitch. Keith Stadium, change the pitch. That's my... Anytime Bath are mentioned, that's where my head goes now.
Yeah. Pool 5 is where Toulouse find themselves. The last pool, just before we pivot on to Pool 4, but Toulouse, Montpellier, Gloucester and Connacht, and that is a tough draw for Connacht.
They earned their way in, but that's going to be tough all over.
I feel like Toulouse are going to have too much for Montpellier and Gloucester.
All of them. Toulouse, Toulouse are looking at top seeding. Yeah. It's Toulouse v Leinster for top seeding, I think, looking at those two pools.
And then who's missing? Who's in this last group?
Pool 4. So it's such a fun pool. So rank wise, I think it's Saracens, followed by Munster or Racing or Munster. Maybe one or the other.
Racing.
But yeah, Saracens, Racing, Munster and Ospreys. Poor Ospreys. The only Welsh representatives in the whole comp, and they're going to be propping up the bottom of their table, undoubtedly.
That's just a great group. That's like serious pressure on Munster, and Racing want to win this competition so badly, and Saracens are the best team in the competition by far. But they're going to struggle to get like home quarters and semis that they want.
They have to go to Thomond and get some points out of it.
Arena. Like you would suspect Saracens are going to be too strong for everybody, but that might mean that Munster are out of the competition in the pools, which is a fun thought.
Yeah.
And Racing too.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of class games in that group. It is a genuine pool of depth.
It's a gem. It's a gem.
And hilarious from a Leinster perspective.
From a Leinster perspective. Yeah. Well, they were getting enough love from the Pro 14 draw. Yeah. It's like, why are we just giving Munster semi-finals now? But no, it turns out that it balanced out. It's really Ospreys. I feel the worst for. That's like, it's pretty cruel.
Yeah.
But then the context in which they got into the comp means that they were always going to be up against it.
Totally. We have coaching news. Big news from Munster's perspective, just on them, is that they've replaced Felix Jones and Jerry Flannery now with Graham Rowntree
and Stephen Larkham. What an upgrade that is.
That's a massive
upgrade. We were calling this all towards the tail end of the season. They need a new backs coach. This is an upgrade, undoubtedly. That really does bolster the ticket a lot. Means you're a bit more confident in.
It's also just a nice balance. You got your Safa, your Englishman, and your Aussie.
Yeah.
and they're all sort of appropriately placed in the institution.
Yeah, you're not having the Aussie give scrum tips. You're not having the Englishman tell how the backs should be going or whatever. Yeah, no, it's good. I think it's potentially growth all over that, because I still maintain that Munster have a class backline, player for player, that can be awesome. They were doing all the wrong things with the ball last year.
It's possibly just a little. The
fact that there's World Cup means that they're only getting these guys after it.
So it's very much going to be off the cuff for this season, and with such a tough Champions Cup pool, it could be tough for them. But that's a long term, very good coaching ticket, and they should stick with it. Bit sad for Georgia to lose Graham Rowntree. He's been very valuable.
True.
But sure, like, that's life as a tier 2 nation. Sometimes big money offers come in, and that's all she wrote. The other Irish news is that they have announced their own backs coach replacement for Joe Schmidt.
Is he backs coach, or is he going to be assistant coach? I thought he was. Well, he's
going to be back. He's going to be taking the backs anyway.
Mike Catt,
yeah. And
which now leaves every member of that England Rugby World Cup 2015 ticket is now in under the IRFU.
By the IRFU from next year. I just feel I don't know about them.
Would have rather seen Steve Larkham in there.
Would have rather seen some. Like, at the risk of being a bit like, it's not a bigoted thing. It's just that there's, like, diversity of thought is good, and there's like too many Englishmen now in the country.
Yeah.
You need to just get ideas from everywhere and coaches from everywhere. And a backs coach, Mike Catt, he's doing a fine job with Italy, but he's not doing anything exceptional. And I'm
fearful for,
like,
how it's going to work.
It's where Ireland most need to improve. Whether Mike Catt's the guy for that job remains to be seen. But it's a curious one.
Yeah, we'll leave it to be seen, because I'm not going to comment on it. Don't know anything other than that.
Finally, we have some Pro 14 news. No, not Pro 14 news. We have some squads, some World Cup squads. So we have France, first of all, named their squad. And the only headlines really from that were the absence of Teddy Thomas, which I think is a little crazy because he's such a baller.
I'm actually like, get Racing out of there. I can't stand their attitude, and I think he's defensively lax, and I would sooner have Pinot on a wing than him.
It's fine from a starting perspective. He's too good not to have in the squad. If Pinot gets injured, you want to have a Teddy Thomas in there, I think.
Maybe so. But the addition of Bastro, though, and is fine by my reckoning. I think he's not a part of how they should be playing the game.
Yeah, Bastro and Power are gone. What's curious about that, though, is it's another reminder that Brunel hasn't the rashers, because there's no plan here, because Bastro was his captain and Power was his 9 a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And now they're not in the squad because
that's always been the case.
Because it's dysfunctional.
It's not just Brunel, though. That's French World Cup cycles.
Yeah, well, it's bad coaches. It's bad coaching, but it may as is Toulouse and Clermont may bail them out with all this talent.
Yeah.
So they may have an opportunity to compete, and it's not a massive surprise. But anyway, as a result, Bastro has announced his retirement from Test rugby before he heads off to America.
There you go.
And he was definitely a very curious picture, and he could have made a great number 8.
He could have. In another world, he is a number 8, you know. But yeah, no. Like, to be fair, he's bringing some great pictures. He was always a curiosity.
He always had fighting him anyway.
Yeah.
He was never.
Yeah, he scared the bejesus out of the older Brian O'Driscoll when suddenly the opposite 13 jersey was being occupied by a yoke the size of that. It's like he remembers playing in 01 when there was no hint of that. So it's interesting, just in the context of the game, his career definitely. And some of that great Toulon side had Bastro in
I look forward to watching him in Major League Rugby.
Oh, he will light it up over there. They won't be able to handle him at all. It'd be funny though.
And just finally, before we wrap it up, the Springboks also named a proper preliminary squad ahead of the boys who were touring with the Bulls and the Sharks coming back in.
Right.
So they'll join up, and the headlines from it are yes to Cobus Reinach.
Interestingly,
yes to Marcel Coetzee,
good call.
Ulster, very two good calls, and yes to Francois Steyn,
which is probably a slightly worse call.
Probably,
I would think.
I can't imagine he's gonna push Delindy for that 12 jersey too hard.
No, Serpentine would have.
Serpentine is the headline that he's not in. A lot of Springbok fans are calling for him. He's just been sort of drifting out in Montpellier.
Montpellier ruined people, but then they've gone with...
Yeah, well, allegedly he's had a very good season over there. It's just in the crunch games I haven't seen him. He's either been injured or anonymous. So I was very much on Team Serfontaine a while back, but he's been...
To be fair to Delindy as well, Delindy's been very, very solid.
Delindy's the front runner at 12. He's not moving.
No, he's a big unit. And he does what Springbok 12s do, is crash and very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
And he occupies some kick and techers as well. He tends to take that duty on for the Stormers a lot. So yeah, no, he's a good unit. If you have him and Lucanio Am or something, it's a really balanced pair.
Good centre partnership.
Yeah, and even that's omitting Jesse Creel harshly, rather, because he's class as well.
Yeah, he's in the mix thoroughly.
Yeah.
And listen, I think we're going to wrap it up.
There. There was also the Leicester Tigers news of Jordan Murphy's getting a mentor coach in Pat Howard, who's coming back to the Tigers. I think he won the Premiership with them a few years back in 07 even. And so it's went to cricket to try his hand, and now he's coming back. I don't know if holding on to Jordan is the right call for the Tigers.
No, I
know that their club's up for sale now as well for 60 million this year, and they're looking for suitors to do that. So it's all a bit, I don't know, it's all a bit dicey for Leicester Tigers fans. Maybe if they can get proper investment, proper backing, they can get back to where they were at. And certainly no one's going to be ring fencing them with them on the outside.
No,
that's not happening. But it would be nice to see a resurgent Tigers next year. And he did get the job on day one when it was the firing of Matt, what is his name?
Matt O'Connor.
Matt O'Connor, in grotesque kind of circumstances after
I think Pat Howard is coming in sort of at an administrative level to fix all of those structural problems and better develop player, scouting, academies, all the rest, deal with the dysfunction that's been going on behind the scenes. But short term keeping Jordan Murphy as coach I don't think it's likely to change much in the immediate future.
Maybe not.
Like certainly if I was Johnny May's agent or Manu Tuolagi's agent, I'd be like...
Johnny May's agent needs firing anyway. He left Gloucester to go to Leicester looking for trophies.
Actually, Manu Tuolagi's is a better... he's sticking with Leicester out of honour because he was injured for so long.
Yeah, I admire that.
They treated him well and they wanted to give him time to get back, and he's rewarding it, which needs to be rewarded in rugby. Otherwise,
and in the Premiership as well. Specifically, there's a lot of cases where that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And even you were thinking post Lions tour of some of the Sarries boys looking very, very tired. Maro Itoje not looking his robust self.
Yeah.
And by the middle of the season, he was looking jaded.
Yeah.
And it's there's a lot of that happens in the Premiership. It's always a talking point. So this example from Leicester Tigers of treating Tuolagi really well and giving him time and space to get back properly is good. Precedent that needs to be set.
Yeah. So wishing them all the best.
For sure.
And wishing you all the best as we return to our lives and you return to yours.
Indeed. This is it. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching that video. If you're new here, please like and subscribe down below, and leave a comment as well, because we enjoy the chat and conversation.